Hello everyone. Uh, Welcome back to the week 3 first part of the lecture, Information Technology for Management. In this part of the lecture, this is the first element of the unit and for operation management, and we are talking about the IT and its use and its role in the operations of business for its productivity and differential advantage. So how information technology play its role for management? We know that the businesses for centuries, so business has been around since prehistoric time, but the businesses began with very simple, nothing more than a bargain or a barter trade, if the history books are to be believed, but it has since the morphed or the transformation of the businesses into something far more complex, and none of that would have been possible without technology. Technology or information technology play a very major role in different industries of worldwide. If this technology is not there anymore, the industries worldwide would collapse. If the existence and the use of information technology were to be snatched away or suddenly they disappear for businesses, just imagine what happened. Businesses would not be able to continue their operation. See what happened during COVID lockdown, but that was technology which was helping the universities to complete their operations and manage their semester and student lectures. Think about the health, think about businesses like Amazon or any other big brand that they were doing online shopping, and different organizations, they survived, and some of them were thriving or rather growing with the help of technology. So the question is, what exactly information technology is for management? We believe that the worldwide industries, the businesses, most businesses, transactions and operation cannot be conducted in 21st century without technology in place. So the information technology for management helps companies or organizations to better manage information, which can be used to track profitability over time, maximize return on investment, and identify areas of improvement. So that is where we are looking, that information technology basically enable companies to better manage business operations, whereas efficiently tracking their sales data, expenses, cost, and enhancing productivity level, so on so forth. So we are looking here that the organizations are basically trying to achieve the best out of technologies to manage their day in, day out operations. So the question is how different systems can be integrated, because there are going to be a number of systems. Some of them are have to be in silos because of the confidentiality and data protection, but the other system need to be integrated and open use for the information to be shared with different stakeholders on users. So we are looking to the number of systems the businesses can use, for example, transaction processing system, office automation system, decision support system, or knowledge management system. So these all systems can work separately, but there was a need to integrate and consolidate for the businesses to help them to achieve the organization or to be able to deliver an integrated suite of business application. And this is how the enterprise resource planning came into being, as the integrated management of main business processes. Often they are processing different business activities in real time, and that also mediated by software and technology. However, enterprise resource planning is defined as the ability to deliver an integrated suite of business application, but this is not enough because ERP tools share a common process and data model that covers the broad and deep operational end-to-end processes. That's very important here, such as those found in finance, human resource, distribution, supply chain, manufacturing, servicetization, and the overall network of the supply chain management. So ERP tools share a common process and data model covering broad and deep operational end-to-end processes such as those found in the finance, accounts, human resource, sales and marketing, distribution, manufacturing, supply chain management, and different activities of the service of the organization within the operation. So we are looking at the level of the ERP. The very first level is the MRP, which is Material Requirement Planning. This Material Requirement Planning is basically a production planning, scheduling, and inventory control system that is used to manage manufacturing processes. Most of the MRP system are software based, but it is possible we can use it in a manual pattern. However, from the graphical illustration, you can see the network supply chain from bottom up and the integration of the information system left, right in the X coordinate. We see the very first matrix in this graphical illustration is the material requirement to be find out what material is important to be available, how much they are required at what time. So this is the planning where we find just in time the right material, and they have to be planned out as per the requirement. So when we see the example of one of the MRP, for example, we decompose a board game with its unique ID, and we can decompose in the different component of this one particular product, and we can see there is a range of different items to be within this box of the game to be solved to the customer. Let's say there is a need of 5,000 board game to be produced and supplied to the customer as per the demand. So we need to find out how much material is required to do the manufacturing. So the material requirement can be easily identified by decomposing or breaking down the item in different components, and then we subdivide or further break down or further decompose each item to find out what is required really from the very fundamental element to the, if you go bottom up, it is easy to calculate how much material need to be ordered in certain time. The ERP is helping organizations to achieve the overall consolidated approach. Basically has to be achieved through the integration of different applications of the businesses. And when we look into the ERP model, we basically try to have the application that's automate and support a range of administrative and operational business processes across multiple industries, including line of business, customer facing, administrative and asset management aspect of any enterprise. That means the ERP software system can also integrate planning, purchasing, inventory, sales, marketing, finance, human resource, and many more. So we can see that how the decentralized data central database consolidate and then get the information from all different individual business unit or departments to get the right information available for manufacturing, sales and marketing, purchasing, procurement, human resource, so on and so forth. The important part for the enterprise resource management, ERP deployment, of course, it's quite complex and expensive endeavor. And some of the organization, they really struggle to find out how the businesses can get the best out of ERP. Many ERP software applications are important to companies because they help them implement resource planning by integrating all of the processes needed to run their companies with a single system. So it stands as it's abbreviated Enterprise Resource Planning, which is the web integrated management of the main business process, often in real time and mediated by software and technology covering both MRP1 and MRP2. That is what we discussed in the earlier slide. The first box of the graphical illustration with the X and Y coordinate, the material requirement planning, and then of course we look into the same illustration here, that is the first level when we break down and do the planning for the material to be required. It's just in time when they are needed, rather to stock or pile the unnecessary items or material. And then, of course, when we are doing manufacturing, the resources to be planned. So manufacturing resource planning is the second level within the ERP, and then we have the overall enterprise resource planning, which integrate across different unit of the business: sales, marketing, accounts, human resource, and all other material, and within the manufacturing and procurement. But all this system is now integrated, web-based, as a cloud computing, for example, and all the businesses processes they perform in real time. And the Web integrated enterprise resource planning is the solution to the businesses today, and they provide solution for business success and productivity. However, it is challenging to find out, is enterprise really required ERP as the enterprise resource planning? Because ERP integrate accounts, finance, HR, marketing, and other critical business function at one end, but it also originally run on client-server architecture and customer designed application at the same time. Now, the web-based, with a focus on social calibration, deployment flexibility, faster response, agile approach, and accessibility from mobile devices, is really giving an extra edge to business to be more productive and successful. However, an enterprise application basically is the integration of the different layer. They enable the ERP to interface with a legacy application which are not internet based, but they were existing with the hardware and software capabilities as a system. Any business software that is not internet enabled in some form is sometimes considered as a legacy application which has no feature to be calibrated online. However, the enterprise resource planning ERP cannot be always a success story. So the organization need to understand, some people within any organization, they have to understand how difficult the ERP system itself is for its implementation, and they also need to know what are the key elements that can be the difference between the ERP success and failure, how they need to find out the common mistakes that should be avoided, and they have to improve their planning process to implement or bring in practice to get the best out of the ERP system in the organization for profitability that lead toward the success of the system. Otherwise, it's going to be a failure reason because of the misrepresentation or interpretation of the cost, unrealistic time frame that build up pressure and lead toward failure, or maybe software license issue can be the serious blow to the failure of the system. We can see in this graphical illustration, this is just getting and giving us some statistical data that can be what can be the reason. So we can see the major pie chart portion coming from the specification. If they are not right, they're going to be big chunk of the failure reason, or specification are not properly detailed, that can be a reason, or balance of role and responsibilities if they are not defined properly. So there can be many other reasons. For example, poor software that's not fit for purpose, or there is an inaccurate requirement. Sometimes the problem is the leadership commitment and the leadership vision, for example, and sometimes the problem is with inefficient capability, skills, and training provided to the users, or there is not sufficient data or funding available. So one has to be careful before we think about ERP. But of course, if all the elements are taken in consideration to avoid failure, ERP is the right solution for the business operation. When we say operation strategy, this is where the organization want to be successful with the more appropriate activities and processes to be in place for the transformation of their input into output. So the industrial revolution, we know it happened where the organizations were looking for the industrial production in the industrial age. But after 1950s, let's say in 60s particularly, when the computer became available for business use. That was a revolution happened, and this technological revolution and the use of technology in business, however, things are still since then changed even more disruptively than during the Industrial Revolution. And it would be to be very honest, safe to say that things will never be the same as it was, let's say, 50 or 60 years before. Rather, at which technology is evolving and the adopting its the exponential to the point where all businesses are being swept by the wave, whether they are ready for it or not, because technology made such a progress within last few years because of social media, particularly mobile phone use, cloud computing. They all bring the app generation that was not born yet, and now the channel of the omni-channel marketing was taken by it's already started, initiated. So technology has just about changed every aspect of business in a big way, and this has never happened in the past or before, let's say, 50, 60 years. So the operation of the business really looking to be bringing a lot of changes. How can management use information technology to improve operation? That is the key question. We will be sharing our ideas and thoughts in the online discussion forum. But this is important to see how using information technology play its role in real sense, and that is where we need to use smart companies or the successful organization. They connect their employees' desire to contribute and interact with their peers or colleagues with their own need to get timely feedback from all level of organization. So within the context of operations and project management, the organization, the team, the different set of coordinators or collaboration and communication among the staff, they need these gadgets and technology to be in place for real-time information exchange, for the right decision to be made for the in the best interest of the organization. However, using IT and operation is the overarching term for the process and services administered by an organization or any organization in context of the information technology department particularly. So that is more important to see how technology play its role for enhancing the operational capability and getting the best out of operation strategy for transforming input resources into output and giving state-of-the-art experience to the customer for both quality and just-in-time services. So looking into again how the communication can be happen, because information, we say the resources within operation are very, very important. There is a need of optimum use of resources. We know both the tangible and intangible resources to be properly used, but when we come to the information, which is a intangible resource, that is the backbone of the success of any organization, how this information needs to be disseminated, shared within the organization and across the organization. So we look into the international communication. International communication is basically is the communication practice that occurs across international borders. The need for international communication is due to the increasing effect and influence of globalization. When we look into the international communication, we look into the context of globalization, and that is basically the development and sharing of information through verbal and non-verbal messages in international context. It is broad field that basically incorporate multiple discipline of communication. It includes intercultural, political, health, media, and so many other advocacy in the context of globalization. So each country and the culture within that country bring communication challenges to the business. We need to address within the international communication. Good international communication or business communication practices basically help organization to maintain the intricate business dealing. That is very, very important. And then if they are not appropriate, they're going to be bad communication practices that can cause loss of business and even international tension among different countries. So both the traditional media, for example, print, audio, radio, television, for example, as well as the information technology media or the IT media, including telephone, telegraphy, satellite system, computing, mobile, are emerging into international communication now. But when we talk about the organization and communication within the organization, so we are not just looking to one pattern of the communication. The organization have for many different reasons when they are talking about the international communication, for example. So most of the communication that take place via email within the organization, and we look in the discussion for in the group when we have the discussion forum online, and you will find out that how this communication happen within different organizations. So we need to open this discussion forum online for week 3 discussion, both internal within the organization and international across the businesses and across the borders. What do you think? How this communication happens? What is email, for example? What are the strengths and weaknesses? How much time is spent every day? So these are some of the discussion where you need to share your thoughts and your ideas. When we say international communication, at the same time, we are talking that are all about effective communication within any organization. So that is among the employees of the organization. They want to communicate with each other, and it involves producing and delivering messages and campaign on behalf of the management, as well as facilitating a dialogue within people who make up the organization particularly. So in group, we are discussion forum. We have to discuss the alternative tools available for communication and collaboration. It can, anyone can think, if you look into the different literature and your core textbook, you find different categories, tools that one can target, and you can find out that how the internal communication can happen with different medium. So when we look to the next slide, we can see that the internal communication is particularly use different tools and technique. We use email as one of the key important medium for communication within the organization. The important part about email is that you send the same message to so many people at the same time, and then people can look into it in their own time when they're available and then respond back. Yes, we have a letter and memos, phone, one-to-one communication, group meetings, and so many other ways we can communicate within the organization. However, when you talk about the email, which is reading and responding each day in the organization, takes quite a big chunk of work, and the total communication we are doing almost 3 out of 4, that is the 70, more than 70% is going in the same tool that we are using. Sorry, I have to take a small drink to make my throat clear. So reading and responding to the email is taking quite a big chunk of work, and daily role of specific task for average change, for example. Sorry, this is getting again problem with my throat. Sorry. So taking for the average information worker, they use quite a big chunk of their time during communication using retrieving and responding to the email. And you can see in this graphical illustration that and you can see the percentage that each day any professional information worker or knowledge worker they are spending here. So it's almost 28% time reading and responding to email, data information searching and gathering, and communication and collaboration take another 19% of the total time, and role specific task is just 14%. So that's quite a big chunk of you can see portion of this pie chart is taken by emailing. Time spent on email, you can read more in detail by an article by Jeffrey James. And it's believed since average office worker, they spend 2.5 hours a day doing emailing. That's around 1.8 hours spent on those irrelevant email, which comes out to a whopping 10 years spent on useless email, which would be 23% of a 45 years career. So quite a big chunk of work. Please, this is quite interesting to read the article. This is hyperlinked, and it will be available for you, the link on the Brio shell, so you can read the Robert Half, or you can browse this article and you can find the data and statistics about the time spent on email within the information workers within their working hours in any particular organization. So the enterprise social platform, this are some examples here. We think about the social media we are using as the SharePoint software social platform. When we say social platform, the enterprise social network focuses basically on the use of online social networks or social relations among people who share business interests as well as different activities. So the enterprise social network is often a facility of enterprise social software, which is essentially social software which is used in enterprise in its particular context, for example. It usually incorporates some element of team messaging, project management, task management, and collaboration tools into one platform. So we are looking here that, for example, Microsoft SharePoint. Now in the University Bedfordshire, we as a staff, we using Microsoft SharePoint for sharing our different documents as a live document, and we can make changes as and when they are required by different team members. It's quite a collaborative and social platform from the Microsoft with Yammer or Team, the social collaboration tool of choice over the Microsoft Cloud, for example. Microsoft Yammer, on the other end, as a social network geared toward enterprise, employees collaborate across departments, location, and business application. However, when you look to the SharePoint, so it basically provides tools for getting up employee social network platform and companies' wikis, for example, the data or the data in silos, or we have the, for example, repositories of data. A shared space to store documents from any desktop or mobile device, so they are not siloed on any one person hard drive or device, so the team can share, and there's been live document can be upgraded or changed as and when somebody can do it in his or her own time. So enable co-workers to stay up to date and work simultaneously at the same time on a single document, and that save previous versions and track updates. It's quite real-time progression within operations of the organization, and similarly can be applied within the teamwork in a project management context. So when we look into the Yammer, is a feature similar to Facebook-like, is a news feeds, threads, conversion, and direct messaging. So as compared to the Microsoft SharePoint, Yammer provides social channel help employees. It also provides help for partners and customers communicate or exchange information, not just as an intranet within the organization, but you can share with other stakeholders and collaborate across department, location, and business applications. It also includes the enterprise graph that shows how users are related to one another, their social network sprawl. And at the same time, when you look to the platform of the social enterprise, we are trying to understand that how the social enterprise basically helping the organization for achieving the networking platform that is often a facility of the enterprise social software, which is essentially social software used as within the enterprise context. So an enterprise social network is a private internal social network that businesses use to enable their team to communicate with each other across the organization or that particular company, and they have different important features to be in place. If it is a the SharePoint that is within the organization. Yammer can also include, is more like a Facebook, to include with other stakeholders. There's sort of common issues. For example, if there's a lack of participation, then you cannot achieve the set objective. Too much transparency will be a problem with the silos, the data for their confidentiality, and then there's a risk of the data to leak out. And again, hacker can access the data. Behavioral issues will be a problem. We need to be more careful with the ethos and the ethics of business code of conducts, and then the internal privacy and external security as the GDPR. We have to be more careful with the privacy general data protection regulation since they implemented 2018 UK or overall Europe. So we have CRM as the other important feature within our enterprise, and ERP as IT for management, for operations enhancement and efficiency, to get the best of business and provide an excellent experience to customer. So many organizations, including banks, airlines, airports, hotel management, they all are trying to use CRM as the process for managing interaction with existing as well as past and potential customer. It is one of many different approaches that allow a company to manage and analyze its own interaction with its past, current, and potential customer. So CRM is basically the system that used to manage and analyze customer data interaction over long period of time. It aims to improve business relationship with customer, improve customer retention, and drive new sales. CRM is not just a sales file on customer. It aims to connect different silos of information, including telephone interaction, live chat, service interaction, social media. So there are quite a number of important features that is used in CRM, including the interaction through email, email marketing, giving the customized web portal to create relationship and have access to different document when you create account. So CRM system helps basically manage customer data. It also helps sales management, delivers actionable insights, integrate with social media, and facilitate team communication at the same time. Some CRM causes of failure would be if there is the its department in charge instead of the business user, so that will be a problem. They don't understand what exactly particular department needs and requirements are, rather it is coming from the top level, and that don't really anticipate the need of department, that particular department. If it is incorrect CRM requirement by not involving key stakeholders to know what exactly they want to get the best out of the system, mobility CRM strategy can be one of the issue, and that lead toward failure and taking wrong approach to CRM, and there's no proper training done. We will continue our discussion by understanding the resistance to the system that can be a blow to the success of the CRM system. So there are some questions we're going to put on, as we discussed in the earlier slide, on the discussion forum for you. Please share your thoughts and ideas, how we can work and get the best out of technology. Read your reference books, and I wish you all the best and talk in the next part of the session. Bye-bye.